Now, we have reached the end of this conference, a conference that aims, through which we want to inspire, promote issues to awaken and get awakened, introducing in the business dialogue the principles of sustainable development and corporate responsibility. This year, in unprecedented conditions and a difficult year, we wanted to demonstrate through our panels and the speakers two basic subjects. The first was demonstrating the changes being effected currently in work, in leadership, in society, and the priorities it sets. And the second was to present how people unite in a common goal in tribes and affect the way companies operate. So, concluding, we would like to share our thoughts and what we retained from the various panels we followed today. Yes, we spoke of the need of the new leader to change and show compassion. What do you believe that has changed, Chrysoula? We saw that the leadership model changes and it demands and human-centered skills. Modern leaders must operate with compassion, must perceive the differentiality and exploit it. What was and has been and always will be is specialization. Nevertheless, the success of a leader depends on its capacity to operate in a humane way and with trust. Therefore, in the tribes era, the traditional image of the leader boss is transformed into the paradigm of the leader inspirer. But how is this related, Alexia, with the new form of capitalism? To me, that session and the speakers made us understand that things change in the structure of society itself. The fact per se that we speak of the change of the nucleus, of the core of the capitalism, that is the operation of the company for the shareholders, is indicative of the change. Companies now must not only diminish their footprint, the do no harm passive approach would not suffice. Companies will have to become part of the solutions by changing the whole concept. The introduction of tribal thinking in strategy tracing will become the key for a company to be timely. But also the role of the banks is critical. To what extent have they changed, so as to speak of sustainable financing? From what we've heard, it seems that the financing of companies on sustainability criteria demands two things. On one hand, they must have funding instruments used for companies lending, and we already see in the sustainability funding session, we see activities from banks towards this direction, but it also sets a second prerequisite, that is to have the business community trained to undertake such initiatives that would sustain the goals of sustainable development and will attract the appropriate funds. We should not forget that until 2030, we need 260 billion euros per year so as to attain these, the goal set. And our hope, a hope for all of us, is that we will manage to attain those goals of Agenda 2030. So we spoke of the new leadership model, the changes in the business model, but what happens at a personal level? Is mindfulness, Alexia, the tool so as to attain this change? This is my most favorite subject, something very new indeed, for which I will be needing a lot of training. Mindfulness sounds like a multi-tool that develops someone not only as a person, but also as a professional, helping in dealing with the daily stress, in the needs of adaptability, resilience, the control of our emotions, and at the end of the day, in our need to focus the substance. It sounded very tempting, to be honest, a radically different approach. We've seen the notion of mindfulness be raised as a trend and our caring of our persons, but seeing it as a leadership style is indeed a great leap ahead. Well, listening to what was said on adaptability, we realized certain things. One thing is the way we work radically changes. It is also necessary to be open and flexible to new ideas. But what I mostly retained is the fact that it is equally important to encourage other people to show adaptability and receive change positively. And indeed, I admire those people who show this mental agility. I wonder, Alexia, is it an issue of age as well? What we learned today is adaptability is an issue of persons and not of technology and means. We also saw from last year's conference that the changes between the age groups with regard to the perception of basic subjects are annihilated in the digital era. The proof is that we do not have tribes limited by age groups. What do you believe? Are leaders ready to entrust and empower tribes within and outside the company? Well, most of them, I believe, no. Nevertheless, I believe that they had started becoming more receptive to listening. And from what we've heard, it is worth retaining that the tribes have the dynamism and the potential to become the catalyst for change. And therefore, we've heard very interesting stories as well in the issue of solidarity. Yes, indeed, following the last session, I became very optimistic for the future. All the discussants, and luckily for us, a great number of other volunteers, show things and view things tabula rasa. They see solution, not the problem. They identify an issue, they act upon it, and they also motivate other people. They do not solely seek, but also create change, sustainable change with a multiplying positive effect. Nevertheless, Manos, does it become an end in itself? Is the end per se the new doctrine? Well, if something goes through our conference this year, is the need for companies to serve a goal, something which integrates the principles of sustainable development in their strategy and expands the narrow framework of serving the bottom line. Within this framework, we'll also demonstrate the reflexes, the potential of people to unite in a single cause, creating tribes and bringing about changes affecting society, affecting the markets, and at the end of the day, the way companies operate. So if we were to retain something from this year's conference, is that tribes relate entrepreneurship with social reality. And now that we have this new approach, I believe we should also create a new notion, new perception of things. And it is high time we thanked our excellent speakers, all those who have contributed for this in this conference, and all of you who have followed the 18th CSR conference of the Hellenic American Chamber of Commerce. We hope that next year we will be able to all attend from in live the 90th conference. But as us, the members of the Committee of Corporate Social Responsibility of AmCham, we're also a tribe with a common purpose. We would like to greet you goodbye with a video where we divulge whatever unites us. We warmly thank you.